20 points to 19. That's a nail biter compared to the last two quarterfinals. This third one between Wales and France really went down to the wire. It had everything. It had yellow card, red card, TMO decisions, potential forward passes, some magic, great defense, big scrums, just everything. It didn't start ideally for the Welsh. I read and heard from the commentary team that they had to make a late change with Jonathan Davis pulling out, so Watkin took his spot, which is never ideal, especially, as much as we all like Watkin, you'd like to have a world-class guy like Jonathan Davis there if possible, but wasn't to be. Before the game itself kicked off, the anthems were pretty fiery from both sides as well. The crowd was getting into it, so the atmosphere was fantastic. And once the game kicked off, it kind of continued off in that vein. So Wales had a few phases early, but France really gave them the first kind of nail-biting moment where George North had to track back and just managed to get back in time to snaffle up a potential kick through with a bit of trouble. Tipuric was winning turnovers early, and he was probably a key man for Wales as he often is, because he is another one who's just world class. But the first try, it goes to France, and it goes to France pretty early. It's Vaha Mahina. The French get a line out. They go through for a few phases, and they get the try. The kick, which at the time didn't seem that crucial, was not a hard kick. It was medium difficulty, maybe. It wasn't that bad. It's probably one that most international goal kickers should be kicking. It hits the post, so it's 5-0 early to France. And then a few minutes later, they hit back again. It's Olivier this time. It goes through Vakatawa, who gets a mini line break, gets to Ntamak to Dupont, and then to Olivier, who gets to try pretty much kind of from their own half. And it's 12-0 early to France. They did get the conversion for that one. It was straight out in front. At that point, you're thinking 12-0 is not an easy scoreline to come back by. We're less than 12 minutes into the game. French are going at a point a minute. Are they going to be that world-class team that we know they seem to be able to turn it on and off from time to time? But before you can even kind of finish that thought, Wales have got on the board. Through Wainwright, the French building a couple of phases, the ball bobbles loose. Wainwright just picks it up and he's gone. And nobody even chases him, really. Nobody puts any effort into it because they're just like, we're not going to catch him. So, top stuff. Wales back in the game. 12 points to 7. And then there's a high shot on one of the Welsh guys not long later, 19 minutes, and Wales take the 3 points. So it's 12 points to 10 in France's favour after about 20 minutes. So it's an intense start. I don't know how you Welsh and French fans are feeling right now. I imagine your blood pressure is pretty high, because I was a neutral and it wasn't the prettiest game at all times, but man, was it intense. The previous two quarterfinals, like I mentioned, were done after kind of a certain point, but this game never had that about it. 23 minutes, Pennog reclaimed a restart from a 22 dropout. It went from Wales being kind of in a position of advantage to back on the back foot. They went 6 phases, but then in Welsh half, and then Poirot got kind of penalised. There was a nice little Watkin tip on, like he got a pass and he just tipped it on one-handed to Alan Wynne-Jones. It went to Ken Owens out on the wing, so it had, like, this game had everything, man. Like a lock to a hooker out on the wing from a one-handed tip on from the late replacement. So yeah, 27 minutes, unfortunately for Wales, Navidi went off and Moriarty came on. And not long after he came on, he got yellow carded. He put a high shot in on Fiku. And it was one of those ones that if you get the wrong ref, they could even go red. I'm not sure what the mitigating factor was, because he hit him pretty high. Maybe there wasn't enough force. Maybe it's because he was slipping. I didn't actually hear what the ref said. But the ref immediately, as soon as he saw it, he called to the TMO. The TMO called him up, and the ref said it's just a yellow. It's just a yellow. And I'm pretty sure, if my ears didn't deceive me, I heard Moriarty asked the ref, like, that's not a red. So it was yellow. I'm happy that it was yellow because I don't like seeing games with red cards if we can avoid it. I'm pretty sure that's true for most of us. But I honestly think on another day he could have got red. Fortunately, there would have been nightmares back from the 2011 World Cup for Welsh fans. It wasn't a red, it was yellow. And then a couple of minutes later, during that yellow card period, the French get a try through Vakatawa. They go 9 phases during the yellow card. Penaud with the offload, and it makes it 19 points to 10. So 7 points scored for France during the yellow card. 34 minutes, they're under huge pressure, the Welsh. Their defence holds. They kick it back to the French, but they don't kick it out, so the French are able to run it back and just immediately start attacking again, which was, again, edge of your seat stuff if you're a Welsh fan especially. Eventually the French win a penalty. They opt to take the 3, and again, it's during the yellow card. There's still a few minutes left of the yellow card. They opt for the 3. It's a tricky kick, and it hits the post. So that's 2 kicks we've missed now for France. It's 5 points missed, and again, a bit more time during the yellow card kind of wasted. So I guess interesting decision making. That'll be kind of analysed in the post-match stuff. But right before halftime, 39 minutes and I think 50 seconds, Wales had knock-on advantage, and they tried to run it out from their own 22, and they threw an intercept pass. Fortunately, the ref called it back for the advantage, otherwise it would have been a try to Girardo, and then the yellow card is over. So the yellow card period finishes 7-0. The halftime score finishes 19 to 10, and you notice the French score doesn't tick on past that point. The halftime stats: France had 60% possession, 66% territory. They had 334 run meters to Wales' 134. Both teams were tackling at 80%, but Wales had to make almost double. And the offload count was 12 to France, none to Wales. So France kind of bossed the half, but Wales were doing okay to still be alive and kicking. And the thing about Wales is they do go 80 minutes, so the French would have known that as well. That's just been their thing in recent times. That's what makes them very hard to beat. 43 minutes, the French miss a drop goal. It wasn't that far off. It had the legs, but it went out to the right. That's another 3 points that they've missed right there. And then 48 minutes, or 49 on here. It's bad. It's Vaha Mahina. He's got Wainwright round the neck in a maul. And then he releases him, which is the smart thing to do, because generally putting your hand around a guy's neck these days will get you carded. And then he just clobbers him in the face with his elbow. It is the dumbest thing. I think this is probably the dumbest thing you've seen in the Rugby World Cup thus far. And sure enough, he gets red carded. You'll find virtually nobody, I think, arguing with that call. It was pretty blatant. Like, sometimes, you might brush, like, just the movement of your arm, but this seemed absolutely deliberate. For the final half an hour, France have to play with a man down. But interestingly, Wales aren't able to really find the extra space. They're not able to capitalise hugely. And sometimes teams do lift when they got the card, so maybe the French had a bit of that as well. They did kick a penalty on 53 minutes to make it 13-19, so within a converted try. But France weren't done. I mean, they went 13 phases inside the Welsh 22. It looked like they were setting for a drop goal, but instead they started to go wide, and then they knocked it on. Wales had several attacking chances, but France were getting turnovers. Huget had an intercept where he had to kind of jump in the air. 69 minutes, France have a scrum in the Welsh 22. Somehow the Welsh get the ball out the back. I think it was Thomas Williams. He was impressive when he came on. Eventually, on how many minutes was it? 74 minutes, France get a scrum in their own 22. The scrum just gets absolutely bossed by the Welsh. Thomas Williams gets a strip. Tipperick catches it, and then he goes close, but then Moriarty gets the ball and goes over for a try. The TMO has to check it to see if it's gone forward, and he rules that it's not clear and obvious that it's gone forward, so the try is awarded, and that makes it 20 points to 19. That is the way it finished. The New Zealand commentary team were pretty convinced that it went forward. If it did go forward, it was marginal. It was definitely a touch and go one, but I'm not sure even what the rule is because it's always out the back of the hands when you're passing it. I'm not sure what happens when you're stripping it. How do you judge the motion of the hands? Because it's not really the momentum that counts as to whether it goes forward or not. So someone who's more educated on the rules will have to clarify that one for me. But yeah, that finally put Wales in front. And then they had a big scrum towards the end to get the ball back and eventually close out the game. So yeah, close, about as close as you get. In terms of the final stats, run meters 481 to 324, so Wales improved in the second half, but France still had the better of that. Possession 52% to France, 56% territory, so again, Wales closed things up a bit there. Tackling percentages, 82 for Wales. They'll probably wish that was a bit higher because they're known for their defensive efforts, and 86 for France. Wales made 119 to France's 95 tackles, so having to do a bit more work defensively, and it did hold at the key times. I mean, if you're looking for key stats, knock-ons, France 10, Wales 3. Costly. Goal kicking, Wales 100%, France 50%, and that's just the kicks from the tee. It doesn't include the drop goals, so yeah, pretty costly. Individual stats, Liam Williams and Medard were the top run meter guys, but again, they were the fullbacks in a game with a fair bit of kicking, so they would have had some easy meters going forward. Both beat a couple of defenders. Owens made 19 out of 21 tackles. Fiku made 11 out of 12, so both guys putting in solid efforts. But yeah, a lot of people I think will write Wales off after this game, saying that they were only able to scrape past a 14-man French side, but I reckon this game could do them the world of good because you seem to get hardened from these close games when the pressure is on. They still manage to find a way to win it. Interestingly, I had a look on Twitter, a few people kind of saying that, very, very much bringing back thoughts about 2011, where Wales were unlucky in that one, but maybe they were a bit lucky tonight. Either way, you make your own luck and you get the result, so you got to feel sorry for France. A bit of stupidity for the red card, to be honest. There's not much else you can say about that. A few missed goal kicks. Otherwise, I thought the French actually played pretty well. I mean, it's pretty hard if you don't score any points in the second half, but they did look sharp in that first half, and they could have had some more opportunities taken, but not to be. The Welsh defence, again, held what it needed to hold, and they just keep playing for 80 minutes. You cannot ever count the Welsh side out, and the likes of Bigger and numerous other guys always step up and keep that pressure on. So we will see how things go with the next game to determine who they're going to play. I seriously think, I guess it depends if it's Japan or South Africa, but people will be underestimating Wales after this one, and that might be a position that they like to be in. Maybe it's good for people to write you off, and then you can kind of sucker punch them, but I guess we will see. You guys let me know your thoughts on this one. It was a crazy game, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.